Mantere, right. So, kia ora tātou, nau mai haramai ki tēnei huihuinga o te Whakaminenga o Kāpiti. Before we start, I'd like to ask Koro. Koro, if you could have karakia for us, thank you.
Kia ora tātou. Tēnei maorena. This one here has been lost for a few reasons. I think only tēnei wā ko tāu mai. Kia ino I tātou. He honore, he kororia ki te atua, he maungarongo. Ki runga I te whenua, he maungarongo ki roto rā I tēnei whare. He maungarongo ki roto I tēnei hui. He whakaaro pai ki ngā tāngata katoa a ko tau mai I tēnei rata. Tai tūnā kia koe I hoko koe rā te ringa arahi. Te mārama I tia hou mai ki runga I a mātou katoa. Ko koe rā he arahi mātou mai te simatatanga o tēnei hui. A taino atu rā ki te mutunga kia tai pai ngaia. O e tahi o ngā kōrero ka puta mai o mātou I tēnei ata. Kia kore kōtiti haere mātou engari ke haere pai, kia oti pai ake. Amen. Kia ora tātou.
Kia ora, lovely to see you here again. Just kia ora to, we've got Rauri and Denise online, so just acknowledging that they're online. Kia ora kōrua. And I think next we have, has everyone's got apologies next on the agenda? I've only got apologies from Kirsten Hapata from Ngā Hapa Otaki. Do we have any from Ngāti Toa? Kyle. Okay, so apologies from Kirsten. Can we move that, don't we? Can we have a mover for the apologies? Me, Janet. And Auntie Denise. Oh, Horiwai's just coming in now. So Morena Horiwai, we're just doing apologies at the moment. So we've got an apology from Kirsten. And we've had a mover from me, Janet, and Auntie Denise. All those in favour? Aye? Aye. Aye. I believe there's no request for public speaking. So we'll move on to point 4. Is there any additional agenda items that anyone would like to raise? Anyone in the room? Kyle, anyone online? Is there any additional agenda items you'd like to add? I see shaking of heads, so I'll take that as a no. Number 5, confirmation of minutes. So the minutes are there in the...
Is that your copy?
Yeah. Oh no, that's my copy. So, could we have a mover if I take the minutes as read? Could we have someone move the minutes? We have Martin moving the minutes. All agree? Aye. Oh, second. We have Huriwai seconding.
Excuse me, Madam Chair. I just had a question in regards to the minutes. There's actually a question about in relation to the content that's on there. Is it okay if I ask about that?
Sure.
Yeah, look, it's in relation to the engagement plan that we have with regards to, I think it's TWOC as such, but it talks about facilitating workshops with EB partners, and it talks to collaborative workshops as well. But one thing that seems to be missing there is the workshop. Oh, sorry, if I was to give it page 8, page 15 of the agenda, number 2. And it's... So it looks at the review plan for engagement, talks to facilitate workshops with EB partners and organise workshops for collaborative input. But I was just wondering...
One moment, Martin.
Yes, certainly.
Page...
15.
Page 15.
Yeah.
I thought you said page 8, sorry. Page 15. Overview
Page 15,
of review
yep.
plan.
Look, overview of the review plan. As such, facilitated workshops with EB partners, organised workshops for collaborative input. But one thing that seems to be missing there is workshops just with governance as such. Now, it just might be an oversight with regards to things, but I think part of this conversation that I'd like to bring up is there's finding the space for governance, KCDC governance, elected members, to have that facilitated workshop around the memorandum of partnership as well. And I just wanted to air it as a concern. Actually, I shouldn't say concern. I just wanted to air it as being considered as part of the process, perhaps elevated a bit more.
Yep, so we can, when we go through the agenda, I'll note that for now, and the team's noted that.
Yep.
And as we go through the agenda, we'll probably be going over that.
Lovely. Thank you very much. That's fine.
So, we are at minutes, and now we've approved the minutes, and now we're going to report. So the first report we have is the Waitangi Day celebrations. And is it Deanna's going to present that? Kia ora, Dee.
Tēnā rā tātou. So if we could take the report as read and just to ask for any questions before we look at the recommendations. So we have two recommendations there. One is to receive the report, and two is to endorse Ngā Hapu Ōtaki to lead the Waitangi Day 2025 district-wide public commemoration event, supported by Te Whakaminenga Kāpiti and Kāpiti Coast District Council.
So do we have any questions? Kyle, any questions online?
No.
Kyle? Dee, can I just ask a question of you? Can you just give a brief background of how the Waitangi Day celebrations has gone from iwi to iwi? Just that I know Rawari's just in the room, and I'm not sure that he would.
Ka pai. Well, tēnā koe, tēnā rā tātou, and Matua Rawari, whakarongo tai marae with Matua Rawari as the project manager for last year, led the celebrations, so
Great.
there is an awareness. Ka pai.
Great. So what page?
I've got a
is this?
question. That's right.
Right.
So this is absolutely fantastic. So exciting. I note that the that Ngā Hapu Ōtaki have applied for the funding, which is really great. What happens if the funding is only allocated in part? I'm assuming that
So we'll be having
we'll at least
on
get some.
tēnā koe, i te koe matua, Janet. So that will be an ongoing conversation that we will have to have between ourselves and Ngā Hapu Ōtaki to look for other ways to ensure that the commemorations are not put at risk as a consequence of any potential financial constraints around it.
Yeah, I just want to ensure that we fund this properly to make sure that that it's the best that it can be. I don't want us to see an event where we're not able to deliver things safely and to the best of our ability.
Tēnā koe.
Total cool. Just one thing from me is we talked about on our agenda has been the 30-year celebration, and I know it's a priority. Auntie Denise has raised it quite a few times, and I believe it's around the same time as the Waitangi Day celebration. So we have discussed, I've discussed with the team, whether it might be an idea to incorporate something for the 30-year celebration into that Waitangi Day celebration day. And so what we probably need to do then is work with the team and the iwi to actually have a couple of little wānanga on what that might look like. So we can do that at the same time because they're so close together. So that's an idea we had, and I just wonder if we can get a comment from our iwi partners online whether that is okay with them, if we can direct the iwi partnership team to kind of have a couple of wānanga with us to socialise that idea. Auntie Denise, I'll go to you first.
Oh, kia ora tātou. I think it's a good idea. I think the celebration, I mean, the whole reason we celebrate Waitangi Day is about partnership. Te Whakaminenga is a local example of a good example of partnership in a local forum in terms of Kāpiti Coast. I think it'd be pushing our partners here to be available for us, Ray and Huriwai, Te Atiawa and Ngāti Toa, to maybe come together. I know there's some other forums we're going to be meeting, Kim, so I think it'd be really good to get a draft proposal plan, maybe to council by, I would probably say by end of November, maybe. Yeah, I think that would be helpful, Hara, to get a draft proposal of the day's events and the day and what the day might entail, to council by close to the end of November.
Do you want to answer that?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, kia ora, Auntie Denise. Just confirming that Dee and the team are already progressing the proposal on what it may look like. Kia tāpiri. Yeah, ki te taho kōtuku.
Ka pai, then it sounds like we're halfway there, so ka pai tērā. Hey?
Kia ora. Huriwai and Rawiri, do you have any comment on the idea of us including the 30-year celebration into that Waitangi Day celebrations?
No, I'm all for it. I think maybe we can also further capitalize on this opportunity, and if we can get some comm support around that, maybe some sort of videoing, then we can use that as part of a submission for the next sort of local government sort of partnership awards, so we can win it.
Why, sure.
Like your style.
Well, I mean, others get the
Tautoko.
others win the awards, right? Because
Okay.
they do something new and they do something flashy. But I think it's something to celebrate. Actually, is the sort of the quiet journey of 30 years
Yeah,
and still going.
I didn't think of that, but absolutely tautoko. Rawiri, your thoughts?
Kia ora tātou. Katoa, yeah, look, I support that. I guess as part of that commemoration, of Waitangi commemoration, it'd be good to see the good news stories that you can share as a result of that partnership. And I'm sure, that would be, how does that celebration look? I guess I'm saying, what's the kaupapa of that celebration? We support it wholeheartedly.
Koro Don, what's your thoughts? Great.
I think, we've had some good Waitangi Day celebrations, allowing the iwis to be part of it, or having turns. Yeah, it's been great. I really enjoyed them, Waitangi Days, yeah.
Aye, so
Brings us all together.
yes, it does. Hopefully
Through
on a
you,
sunny
Madam Chair, is it appropriate then that we add any further recommendations?
Yes, I was just going to suggest that if we could draft an amendment to the recommendation on the table about adding, including a 30-year celebrations into that Waitangi Day. and
Sure. So
How
just
would we go about that?
Yeah, sure. And just to clarify, we are within that 30-year time frame. So that so 30 years was at February 29th of February this year. So within the year we have until 29th of February next year to enable to whakanui the partnership. And we have obviously the review, but to incorporate that proposal into the Waitangi Day event ensures that it aligns with that 1 year of celebrating our 30-year partnership agreement. So if we could do that, that would be helpful. So I think we'll probably just have to wordsmith a third recommendation. Evan, if you can support us
Can you,
with that.
yeah. We're just going to bring it, for those online, we're just going to bring it up on the screen so we can see.
It's good. I think 30 years is good. I've been 30 years here, so.
Okay, so we're going to add on, as well as A and B, we're going to add recommend that council integrate the 30-year, can we put Te Whakaminenga or Kāpiti anniversary? What do you think? Does that cover it? Into the
Means that council integrate a 30-year celebration.
30 years, yeah.
could I suggest that we reword that to read, recommend that council integrate celebrating the 30 years of partnership.
Kia ora, Dee. I was just going to recommend the use of the instead of a.
So,
Kia ora.
as part of the Waitangi Day
Yeah, after the sentence.
commemorations, and we can take out the word to Whakaminenga. Waitangi Day commemorations. Thank you. Thank you, Egan.
So do we
Can
have,
I add one more?
Yeah.
Sorry, Kim.
No,
Madam Chair, can I add one more?
I,
It's just that the word, if I could see it, I can't quite read it. It's shrunk a little bit on my screen. If you could go back to a larger screen, I think it's the word integrate the celebrating or celebrating the 30-year partnership, 30 years of partnership. Kia ora. Tēnā koe. Kia ora.
the 30 years of partnership as part of the Waitangi Day. I think that pretty much covers us. Yeah. So just mindful that we've just added that recommendation. Is there any comment about that recommendation? No, none I see. We seem to be okay online. So I will look to move those three recommendations, A, B and C. Have a mover, please. We've got online. Yeah, Martin, second. Was that you, Dawari? Did you? Yeah. And we'll have a second, Dawari. All agree? Aye. Kia ora. So that's passed. Thank you, Dee, for that. That was on. So Carly's been just acknowledging Carly, who's been working on that with Ngā Hapawataki, and Dee is presenting on her behalf. Right. So now we go to point 7 on our agenda, which is our iwi updates. So what I might do is I might turn to our iwi partners online, and Auntie Denise, I'll start with you if I can.
She's on mute.
Auntie, you're just on mute if you could.
Maria, can you ask her to unmute?
Yeah. We're just having some technical difficulties here. Maybe what I might do while Auntie's getting her computer sorted, can I move to you, Rawiri, online?
Aye, look, not a huge update, but well, I guess it is a huge update. We haven't actually communicated this to our iwi, so we are having the first of a session today as a board, resetting our strategic plan. So that's exciting for us. It hasn't been reset since 2014, I think, thereabouts. So that's the first one is today. Another thing, just as FYI for you, with the board is considering an objection to a new liquor store outlet application for Waikanae. It's been raised by our Kanihira, Kamatua Kanihira, so we will be considering that in the next few days to support that objection based on the health and well-being of our people in the Rohi, having sufficient amounts of liquor outlets in the Rohi. So that's an FYI for you.
Kia ora. I believe, Auntie Denise, you've got your computer going now, so we'll go to you next. Just waiting for you to unmute. Does not seem to be working.
Got it. Kia ora, aroha mai. Technical issues here at this modern campus of ours. I guess just where we've been. Hard to figure out the things we've done in the last couple of months. Just to say that probably the main activity has been working with regional and local council certainly advancing the Whaitua, Kāpiti Whaitua, doing a lot of work with that with GW and Kāpiti. Been busy doing a lot of work locally with our community, focusing on helping build our team at Ngā Hapu. We hope to confirm the appointment of a new GM by early new year, Po Taiao, and it's progressing well. We're busy. I guess one thing I'd like to say on behalf of Ngā Hapu is the appreciation and the appreciation and the quality of the partnership we've been able to maintain with KCDC over the years. So we look forward to celebrating the 30 years of the Whakaminenga in 2025. We look forward to speaking to those people and having those people on board who were responsible for the establishment of this. There are some who won't be with us again to celebrate that day, but there'll be a lot of people who can be with us to celebrate that day. So I guess between now and early 2025, that'll be a focus for us at Ngā Hapu. Kia ora.
Might want to turn my microphone on. Huriwai, do you have anything to add?
Not that much, really. Just if anything, had a quick chat with Rawiri after Pōkena. I don't know what should Rawiri number tuatahi, whatever he was, in the mix of that workshop. But yeah, no, I think it was a very sort of enjoyable engagement. Otherwise, across the board at Ngāti Toa, there's not much really happening at the moment. I mean, there's a lot of noise, but not really much to report. There's a tribal AGM at Hongoeka, I think end of next month. And there's quite a few sort of little interesting environmental sort of initiatives happening around trying to like self-manage wastewater for housing development sites. But,
Kia ora. So I'm looking at the agenda and I'm noticing that we have at point 7. I'm just going to ask a question first. Do we need to receive the iwi updates? No. Okay. And I'm noticing that we've got number 7 is iwi updates, and then we have number 8, which is treaty settlement updates. And I'm just wondering for the future if we just don't tie those two together.
Okay, put them in one place.
Yeah, just put them in one place. But I'll just, excuse me, double check online. Is there any treaty-related updates from our iwi partners that we should be
none
locating?
from me.
None from Toa?
No, none from myself, from Te Atiawa. Although, look, I forgot to mention, we will be putting a submission in on our supporting the plan change in regards to Whakarerewa Rewa Urupa.
Yeah.
Aye.
Aye.
Sort of treaty related.
Yes.
Auntie Denise, do you have any from our end?
There's some ongoing work happening amongst our collective hapu claimants, collective hapu claims happening. We had a meeting last night about that, and in particular to the return of the lands that have been, residential areas for commercial and Crown entities like the maternity home and the old kohaora venue up there, Haruatai. That was an ongoing discussion. So we had an update last night, just last night, about that. So yeah, that's an ongoing kaupapa for our collective hapu to be working on.
Kia ora. So in the future, we might just lump those two together, but that we can do that at the next agenda. So if we move on to number 9, we have council updates, and it's on development of kaupapa kōrero reporting framework. 9.1, and that's to be presented by Pāniare alongside Hara. and Deanna. Sorry, Dee, your name's not on my run sheet.
So, excuse me, Madam Chair, there used to be a council update which was just like a general update from council governance alongside the iwi updates rather than the reports just being under council update.
Okay, so is that at point 9?
So, yeah, so there used to be like council updates and then there were reports and they were two separate
Okay, so
kind of
Claudia
items.
and Dee, would you not mind waiting until we can have the council update
Yeah,
from
this
Mia?
is- yeah.
That's fine.
Is that all right?
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah, just so that we have all the kind of partners. Yes, there's not much to say though, just to say that it's great to be underway with the review of the partnership. And Hurawai mentioned the workshop that was held the other day. Fantastic. Absolutely great start on that kaupapa. And good to be looking forward to signing that off next year. Also, the representation review will be finalising soon with the implementation of a Māori ward as part of that, of course. And I think that was pretty much all from my side, apart from probably the most important thing that's happening at the moment is the discussion around the future of our water supply, which is progressing. At the moment, we're just kind of analysing the more dry aspects of it, so to speak, the finances and what the options are. And we need to work out how we're going to share that and have that conversation as we progress into making a decision around that. And then the other thing that happened since the last meeting is the approval of the Whaitua report. And it was wonderful to have that hosted at Raukawa Marae. That was a Greater Wellington Council piece of work, but we've been heavily involved in that, and having that really wonderful wrap up of that phase of that work and starting to plan for the future at the marae was absolutely fabulous. So huge thanks to Raukawa for that. Thank you.
Right. I'd like to invite any other councillors who are at the table or community board members if they have anything to add. Martin.
Yeah, thank you, through you, Madam Chair. Look, I just wanted to touch on Te Maruata, which is the Māori support aspect of local government New Zealand, if you like. They have monthly catch-ups, which I must admit I missed the last one. It went with, we had an engagement on down at Kāpiti College, but so I actually ended up sitting in the car. But the reason I brought it up is that one of the things that I think we just need to keep on the radar, and it sort of ties into representational review, is obviously in the next year with the elections we have the Māori ward coming through, and we have a referendum, and it's going to be important to activate in the lead up to that process, if you like. So I just want to keep that front and centre as a conversation. Obviously, within local government New Zealand, or Te Maruata, it is a big concern. One of the interesting things I've found, I think we're very, very fortunate in this area with regards to the understandings we have, but it can be very, very challenging in lots of other areas with regards to lack of support for Māori in council, and I think we're all aware of that as such, so I won't dwell on it too much. One of the things I guess I've been working on with regards to things in that space is trying to get these organisations working together a bit better at a high level. So I noticed in the last month the local government, or Te Maruata, has reached out to the New Zealand Māori Council with regards to some consultation, which for me is a good win, because from the point of view of kotahitanga and the unity aspect of things, great to see some movement happening in that space. But coming back to, it's going to be challenging, but after saying that, I think it's going to be a great way for Māori to be showcased as well. So I think there's an opportunity there, rather than, and I'm very keen to be down front-footing this stuff as we move forward, rather than taking a defensive posture with regards to all this, which I think ties in with the general mindset that's out there. I guess it's also just reminding that we want people to put their hands up with regards to the Māori ward, and just getting that kōrero out there as well, with regards to getting people to start thinking about it as well. Challenging position, because fundamentally it could only be for 3 years, but I don't think that's, it would be great to see that support coming through with regards to people that are willing to put their hand up, just to show our community that there is a willingness for that type of participation. But it's going to be, with the type of demographic we have here, I'm brutally honest, it's going to be some challenging conversations there. I'm up for that, quite looking forward to it. But just one of those things I want to keep front and centre as well. That was just my bit.
Kia ora, and kia ora, Martin, for that. And I'm just going to add to what you've said. So in terms of that being front and centre, so there is, it is forefront of our minds, and even leading up to the referendum and comms around that and how we engage with our whānau. And there has even been conversations about how we vote, because the way we vote now, business as usual, everyone gets a form and they all vote individually, but as you know, as Māori, we do most things collectively. So what does that look like in a voting sense? So I have had some kōrero around how we can vote, and what that looks like, and how that works into what the referendum's going to look like. And whether we vote at the marae, whether we all vote on one piece of paper, whatever that looks like. So there's some real thought into, we've come this far, we need to see this through. So that is happening, but there's actually just been nothing put on the table as such. So those conversations are happening in the background. It might be an idea that we actually investigate that a little further and bring a paper to the table, so we can think what we're thinking about that, because it is contentious, as we all know. It is political, as we all know. But what we also know is that we all want it. So if we can work together to make that happen, that would be great. I'm just going to go online and check. There's no hands up in regard to Martin's comments. Is there anyone that would like to comment? And if there's no one online, then I'll move on to... Yeah. No comments from online. So, Cam.
Thank you.
Ngā mihi. Kia ora tātou. Just wanted to talk of Martin's comments there about the upcoming elections, just with and it's something that I've been thinking about as well, particularly with being a Otaki person, with the Māori vote and how to actually get the correct information out there. I think it's going to be quite a challenge for some areas in the community. The other thing I just wanted to raise, and I just wanted to check the awareness of regarding a Te Tiriti conversation that's coming up on November the 10th at the Otaki Library. I've been invited to this to speak, but I just wanted to actually check who else actually knows about it, because it almost feels like it's a external organisation coming into the Otaki rohe. Are you aware of that one, Kim?
Yes, we are aware of it. Yep. It is an external. If it's the one I'm thinking of, it is an external, and we could probably have a conversation about what that looks like.
Yeah, because I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Yeah, so we are aware of it, and we were invited along too, in time capacity to get there. I'm not sure if we. Yeah, I'm not sure if we've actually had anyone at the previous meetings that they've had, but we could definitely have a discussion online. And you know, the tiriti is everyone's, so it's for everyone to comment on.
Yeah, the concept seems great.
Yeah,
but it just seemed slightly.
But we have not actively engaged as ngā hapu. We have not actively engaged in it. Yeah.
Okay, just making sure I'm not treading on anyone's toes or anything. So that's cool.
We can have that conversation offline if you like.
Kapa.
Kia ora. Is there anyone else? I don't have anyone on my list. So I will now carry on. I might just noting that, because when I'm looking at this update, 9 looks like a heady. So I might just, It is. Yeah, so I might just look at it and rejig the agenda so I can remember for next time. So we'll just move on to 9.1, which is the kaupapa kōrero reporting framework. So, kia ora, ladies.
Oh, tēnā tātou. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, fancy. I ask that we take this report as written, as read. Thank you. And if there are any questions before we get into recommendations.
Kia ora, we have a question from Martin, but before we do, Pania, I'll just get you to introduce yourself to everybody at the table.
Tēnā tātou ko Pania rei tuku ingoa, he uri ahau mō Ngāti Sorangatira, Ngāti Huia, ki kati uku me te ati awa ki whakarongotai. I'm our advisor in iwi partnerships and I've been here for around 5 months. I've been to a few of these hui, but it's the first time I've sat here and provided a report, so it's really lovely to be here with all of you. Thank you.
And it's great to have you. So we have, Martin has a question and then we'll go to Huriwa who's online. So Martin.
Yeah, please accept this as constructive, which isn't always not a good start to a conversation, is it? No offence, but I'm not getting my head around this very well. It's a bit like a chicken and egg scenario to me. And what I mean by that is that we are currently discussing the memorandum of partnership and updating that and having general conversation about, and I dare say enacting some aspects with regards to what the relationship, well, we know what the relationship is, but how it's currently working. Should we say updating that? I would pick this as part of that process with regards to that updating as such. But I'm not necessarily seeing how governance is connected into this as such. Sorry, I should rephrase it. It talks about regular updates and an update structure. Yet we've got the scenario of iwi members being at all committee meetings. Now, I'm not saying that that's necessarily a structure that will be ongoing, because it's a conversation to have with our iwi partners to work through what's the appropriate mechanism that works for everybody with regards to this environment, plus obviously the operational environment, and how that all works in together in a positive way that everyone's agreeable to, and whatever that might look like. So I'm just a little bit concerned that until we've got that particularly sorted, that if we put together, it's hard to put a framework together with regards to that report back, because we don't actually know what the structure is, if you like. And I think we're heading in the right direction with regards to things, but I'm not picking up how these things are connected, because if we've got, are we doubling up, I guess is what I'm saying. Is it, because in theory, all our governance, our elected councillors, fundamentally receive the same information that is available to our iwi partners through that arrangement. Yet here we are summarising it and bringing it to the table here to go over it again. As such, is that appropriate for here? Is it even needed here? I don't know, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying I don't think we've had that conversation yet with regards to what that what that all looks like as such. So, although I appreciate the flagging of this, I'm just a bit concerned that we're going to start doing a piece of work that's potentially going to change once we've decided on that format. And I appreciate the importance of having a structure with regards to how we report back, but I do wonder if we're just perhaps getting a little bit ahead of ourselves here. Sorry?
Just a little one.
Right, after dropping that little bomber shot out, then I just...
Constructive. Kia ora, Councillor Halliday. I suppose the short answer would be that this framework was developed within the team as a mechanism to triage all of council officers coming into the iwi partnership space and wanting engagement with our iwi partners, and it was a way to not cause such an overwhelming way to engage with our iwi partners, and to streamline the engagement by way of coming through the iwi partnerships and then going out. And through this framework that the team have developed, it's purely operational. So it doesn't have, it's just a way, it's just us updating the table about mahi that's going on within the iwi partnerships group to enhance the engagement as a council that we have with our iwi partners.
That sounds great. So just checking I've got that one right. So get that, I think that's fantastic. So what we're talking about here really is the engagement framework operations has with our iwi partners, and the report back pretty much is just touching base on how that engagement's gone, say over the past to this table, just touching base on how that engagement's gone over the 6 weeks. But you're also putting that framework together, should we say, in a more substantial way around how that works. Yeah, okay, that's cool.
And just as an addition to Hada's comment, we've been very mindful of our respective iwi's ability to engage, and as they work through determining their structural arrangements and understanding that there have been challenges with capacity, which are improving in each of their respective spaces, we have had to ensure that we have over communicated rather than not communicated. So again, it's just an information piece for everybody to ensure that we're all clear about the approaches that have been made to date, and absolutely tautoko your whakaaro around the fact that there is some work that we're currently undertaking, and this will change, and it probably will not come to the governance table in the future, but it's about making sure that we're all informed.
Oh, look, I really appreciate that, because I think that's a fantastic step with regards to things, and I appreciate the openness and transparency around it, that sort of stuff, and look forward to just, hearing back with regards to that, but thank you for the clarity.
Kia ora, Martin. One thing I might add to that is, although it's an operational, it sits with operations, providing that feedback from a strategic standpoint, and as we sit in here, allows us to see what our partnership and what we're putting in place at a strategic level allows us to see that it's actually working through the organisation as well. So that aspect of it is something that I'd be interested in the updates, because often we only get that sight through, there's a little paragraph in each report that says engagement with mana whenua. So this might potentially be able to give us more confidence what that engagement actually looked like, instead of a one-liner on a report.
Yeah, and I guess the flip side of that as well is just looking at, as we move forward, we are talking about how the relationship not works, it's working, but just how it's structured.
Yes.
So that there's...
And how it grows.
Yeah, and that side of things, which I think is something's long overdue, to be personally honest, and it allows us to have more engagement in that space and as well. So, yeah, no, it's all great.
Great. Do we have any more questions? Right. Do we have any online questions? Huriwai.
Kia ora, Pania. Just your comment about this being your first time presenting in front of the council reminds me of the so many years ago when I was in your same position. So with that in mind, following on from sort of Martin's feedback around form follows function, I guess I did have a few technical questions. One, just checking, what does the word council officers refer to? Like, is that actually like a strict legislative definition, or you just mean like everyone in council from tier 1 all the way down?
Yeah, that includes staff members, basically.
Right. Okay. And the second one I sort of had was around, the way I'm sort of reading it is that, or no, I guess my comment is that I'm quite keen to sort of understand, where the work programs are actually filtering out, and then from that point where we can actually kind of identify which work streams are actually most of the highest priority for us as iwi. Then we can actually engage. Then we can actually sort of have a sort of a escalation, I guess, or framework from which we can then prioritize work streams. So, whether it's something we just need to know about, or whether it's something we need to actively engage or passively, that kind of thing. I'm quite keen to sort of understand how that looks. So then we're not sort of over engaging on everything that is, whilst useful to know, is not actually the most important thing for us to engage on. Because then I'm quite interested to see then from, once that sort of filters out operationally, then how you actually lift that up for us as governance if there are sort of particular issues. And then that way, hopefully we can manage capacity, really, and capability. And then the third one I sort of had was, the way I sort of read the framework, yes, was sort of like a council, like an operational engagement between teams at KCDC, but I'm also quite keen to sort of understand, maybe it might be on the work program going in the future, is how the iwi partnerships team could potentially look at some type of like macro analytical framework for other staff to sort of, when they're sort of testing their work and their policy thinking or strategic thinking, to sort of see, okay, you know, maybe like a question trail. If they're looking at something, is this important to this iwi group, or how does this actually work in terms of the different domains that you have to look at, so that it's not simply this is important to Māori because it involves a tree or a bird. Like, I'm quite keen to sort of understand like what it looks like at a more broader, financial, human potential, social capacity, that kind of wider analytical framework. I mean, trees and birds are important, yes, but I'm just trying to be like, how do we actually like
Good
lift
comeback,
that
Rua, good
capability of the
comeback.
staff and their analytical thinking, so that when the time it comes back to council, it's much more considered.
Oh, kia ora hiriwai. To your second point, the team are also working around a iwi prioritisation piece of mahi that focuses mainly on the LTP and what we've drafted in there to seek advice and guidance from iwi and what they want to prioritise across that LTP. So that's in train at the moment, which I think answers your second question. And to your third point, noted, but I might leave Aurelia Mason to answer that, because she's doing a bit of mahi around that in terms of how we're engaging with each group is alongside Dee and her team, because it'll be different across the organisation in terms of what they need and the requirements to enable them to engage with our iwi partners effectively. Come on.
Kia ora. I don't have anyone else on my little dashboard, and I've just noticed that Frank's joined us, so just acknowledging that Frank's with us. Kia ora, Frank. Do
Yeah.
we have
Do you want to do that and give me another call back? I'm just on another.
Auntie
Zoom.
Denise? Do you want to ask us a question? You just unmuted. I'm just wondering if you want to.
Yeah, it wasn't a question, Kim. It was just a comment. And sorry, I was just got distracted by a phone call. Just when we were talking before, and just picking up on Huriwai's comments about where we're looking at operations within KCDC in terms of their own multiple tiers of activities and kaupapa and the various subcommittees that operate. And then and just wanted to share with council in terms of the discussions we've had amongst ourselves as iwi, in terms of wanting, often seeking an opportunity to have a forum for ourselves. And this is not to detract from this, but we have to do an additional forum for ourselves to talk about kaupapa that we collectively are engaged with, or be impacted on, or will be have capacity to have input to across the Kāpiti Coast region. And more importantly, I guess for a lot of us too, certainly for Ngā Hapu and Ngāti Toa, we are at the table with GWRC probably far more often than we are with KCDC. And a lot of those kaupapa interlink. So Janet, I'll probably direct that to yourself and others there, interlink. And so quite often we see that there's a variation to how those relationships are working out. And I'd like to I think it'd be a really good thing to talk with yourself, Janet, and possibly Kōrero Darren, about how we see that rolling out in the future, because we have taken other contractual arrangement with GWRC to another level. And importantly so, because we have real concerns about our waterways. And so really keen to work with KCDC, and whether we do that through Te Whakaminenga or directly. But I think that's an important one for us as ART, in terms of the new water supply, water delivery services agenda item that's coming onto council tables, and certainly that isn't on ours today, but it's something I'd like to table here today, Kim, in that area of ongoing discussions, whether it's at operations level or at governance level. Kia ora.
Kia ora, and total for those comments. Rawiri, I notice your microphone is off mute. One moment, Rawiri. Me, Janet just wants to respond to Fire Denise's comments.
Ka pai.
Just waiting for the mic to go red.
Yeah, just because Denise directed it towards me, I'm very happy to follow that up, Denise. So I suggest perhaps a kōrero with yourself and the iwi partnerships team to get that underway, and Darren, and we'll just we'll see how we can progress that. So yeah, thanks for bringing it to the table today.
Kia ora. So, Rawere, if you have any comments.
Just on this kaupapa kōrero reporting framework resetting, I guess. Just clarification. It talks about the work programs and projects there. Just clarification in terms of we have our resort consenting processes that iwi involved in and interact with the council on. These work programs and projects, are they a combination of are they sort of different, or can they sometimes the boundary overlaps? I'm thinking of the town centre long-term plan for the town centre development, and then private development going on as part of the integrated approach to that. I guess to clarify, sometimes those programs and projects will have that overlap, and this reporting framework will report to us on that as well. Particularly my concern is around the town centre development and some of the wāhi that is there and the taiao that is there.
Yes, we will look to report on those things and on the 6 weekly cycles. Yeah.
Aye. Do you understand where I'm coming from? There's a resorting, the consenting process, and there's a...
Yeah.
So how do the two...
How
does this work?
6 weeks is
Tēnā koe, Rawiri. So through the kaupapa kōrero process that we have in place, it ensures that we receive all of the information, and it's the responsibility of our team to ensure that we have collaboration and cross-team engagement, so that at every level we're aware of where the particular responsibilities and progress lie. So from a resource consenting standpoint right through to an operationalisation of any kaupapa. So it's all around ensuring that we have an integrated understanding, so that iwi also have that integrated understanding. So this is around ensuring that we're prioritising collaboration across teams rather than, the old-fashioned siloed approach where we're not having the communications and conversations. And just whilst we're having this conversation, we also have a Te Whakaminenga or Kāpiti work program, which is the work program which you as Te Whakaminenga or Kāpiti determine and prioritise according to the conversations that you're having at the table and where the priorities lie for the partnership. And that's a conversation Kim and I have started to converse about that, and how we will bring that conversation to the table at the right and appropriate time. And that, in terms of you as the governance table, that work program is certainly something that you will have oversight of, and that is, for example, why we bring the Waitangi paper to the table, because that particular kaupapa resides with you. Tēnā tātou.
Kia ora.
Kia ora. I hope that answers your question, Rawiri. If there's no other questions from online, I will move to Kim.
Yep, kia ora. Just following on from probably what Rawiri was talking about, impacts bit D as well. In terms of the reporting back from this framework, is it solely reporting back to this table here, or is it going to council? Particularly with my community board hat on, how would the community board access some of the information that would be coming out that would particularly affect, say, the Otaki Community Board or the Parapara Umu Community Board? Just wondering how the reporting out from this will happen.
Kia ora, Cam. That's yet to be determined, actually, in terms of the community boards. Yeah, no, thank you. We'll note that.
Great. So I have no more questions. Is that right? And nothing else from online. So I will move to the recommendations. And it's just that Te Whakaminenga o Kāpiti receive and note this report. So can I have a mover, please? I have the mayor who's moving. Can I have a second? I have Huriwai with his hand raised. I'll take that as a second. All agree? Aye. Kia ora. All right, next on our agenda we have thank you, Pania, well done. Next on our agenda we have the Māori Economic Development Grants update, and that was to be presented by Carly, but I believe it will be presented by Dee.
Tēnā anō tātou. So just apologies for Carly. She's having a well-deserved break and has travelled home to Te Tairawhiti, to Ngāti Porou. So for some whakawhanaungatanga and also for a hurakohatu or an unveiling. So on her behalf, I'll talk to this report. So if we could take the report as read and note the recommendation to receive the report. But if there are any questions, happy to answer them on her behalf.
Right, so do we have any questions? I have Martin on my screen. Martin?
Yes, thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. Two things. First on Smarty Grants. It's great we just used that through the seed funding process. And yeah, it was a good system to use as such. Just a little bit of feedback there. I guess just the Māori Economic Development Grants per se, I don't know when they've been reviewed or anything along that sort of line, but how is that working in relation to that relationship with that general economic development strategy as such? And that sort of, I know they've been sort of a standalone sort of thing as such. So just wanting to see, is there a plan to sort of bring that a little bit more aligned as such? And I dare say it could be part of that reporting back. I mean, we are evolving at the moment quite substantially, in my opinion, as well. So just bringing that up.
Tēnā koe, Martin. So to answer your question, our iwi representatives on the Economic Development Kotahitanga Board who are involved with the review of the overall Māori strategy for Kāpiti are looking to scope how that would impact on the Māori Economic Development strategy for Kāpiti, which this particular work piece falls out of. That standalone strategy, which, as you correctly pointed out, hasn't been reviewed for over 10 years. So that conversation is actively occurring in that space. And as you know, those representatives sit on the subcommittee alongside yourself. So we will have an update around that in due course. However, my understanding is from those conversations is that for this particular period, we will just keep the status quo, understanding that there will be an approach to consider how this might look going forward within this period of the LTP.
No, that's fine. Thank you very much. The only thing I would suggest is we've got the business unit that's up in Otaki. It's got quite a number of businesses in it, and just making sure that when we do put that information out, that we include them as well would be much appreciated. Okay, so we're just maintaining the status quo while we review. And that's awesome. Thank you.
Kia ora, Martin. I don't see any hands up online, so just checking that there's no questions from online. Cool. So just to add to what Deanna is just spoken about, so I do sit on the Economic Development Board. So we are with the iwi partners and alongside Hilmari doing a review of what an economic development strategy for Māori looks like in Kāpiti as overarching. And one of the things that's come up is looking at the current strategy that KCDC has. We're also looking, you'll see that Greater Wellington has just recently released their Māori development strategy. I think it's Te Wataroa Māui. So just taking into consideration the wider ecosystem as well, and in terms of collaborating, so making sure that when we are reviewing these documents that we are collaborating with the iwi partnership team, and that operationally on the ground we are contacting those Māori businesses on the ground across the whole of Kāpiti, and bearing in mind the Wellington strategy as well. So that piece of work is happening, but it's obviously not going to be in time for these grants to go out. So status quo for now, with a look to review, and that might look completely different until we know what that looks like. We'll just stick with what we have. If there are no other questions, I don't see any other questions, I'll look to move the recommendation, which is that Te Whakaminenga o Kāpiti receive and note this report. Can I have a mover, please? Martin, moving. Can I have a seconder? I'm just looking. Seconder? Madam Mayor, thank you. So we have Martin and Mayor Janet. All agree? Aye. Kia ora. So that looks like the last update that we have on the list. Now I'm just going to ask the question. We have agenda item 10, correspondence. Is there any correspondence? There's none that I've been made aware of. So we'll just move on to item 11. Future agenda requests. So I'm going to go to our iwi partners online first, in terms of, is there any future agenda items that you want to see, that you can think of now, given that we have our art forum coming up as well. So it's not the last time you can put items on the agenda, but if you've got any, raise your hand and we can put them on. Carl? And then from anyone here, is there anything you'd like to see on future agendas? Me, Janet.
Yeah. I was just thinking about a comment that was made before about the work program that this committee has oversight over. And I don't remember the last time we saw a work program. So we used to have it on every agenda, which was too much. But maybe we just need an update on it from time to time. Yeah, even twice a year or something like that. Yeah. Just if there's a work program that we're meant to have oversight over it, we need to see it from time to time.
Yeah,
but I'm aware that the iwi partners individually probably see it. And I just wanted to make, while we're on reporting back, I just wanted to clarify something about a previous agenda item. I know I'm going backwards, but the report around the kaupapa, around the iwi engagement with the partnerships team, the report refers to reporting back to iwi, not to council or community boards. I wouldn't expect to see that information, and I wouldn't expect community boards to see that information either, and I just think that needs to be clarified so we don't create any kind of expectations today that we're not intending. So I just wanted to, have I got that right? Yeah.
I'm just checking you're referring to 9.1, aren't you? Yeah. Cool. Right. Yeah, no, that's right. Sort of forget. Do we have any other? So those two are noted. Anyone else? Anything you'd like to say? Whae Denise.
Kia ora. Tēnā koutou. Just actually following on from Mayor Janet's comment just there in terms of the work program, two things. Will there be a schedule distributed that gives us an indication of when the remainder on the work on the review of the MOU will be undertaken? And I'm only thinking about our own work schedule, so it's just really important. And so we need time to talk with our people. So it's not just a matter of us being at the table with council, it's about us having an opportunity to take it back to our collective hapu and ōtaki to share. And so that requires a little bit of time. That's the first one, Madam Chair. The second one is is the reporting process, so that I would have anticipated perhaps that for 2025, it would be really good if we can work with the partnership team and yourself, Mayor, when you and I have an opportunity to have a discussion, is the things that we think are coming up out of central government that we would like to have more in-depth discussions on. In particular, anything to do with water, why, is our concern. So that's one of the reasons why Ngā Hapu was so strong and supportive of Te Whakaminenga o Kāpiti. And the reason why Ngā Hapu as an entity was established was the protection of our water. And so we need to ensure that going forward we've got open dialogue with KCDC, and we've requested the same with GWRC going forward. Kia ora. Thank you, Kim.
Kia ora. So I've just been talking to Hara here to make sure I've got that right. So on your first question in terms of the updates, the team's hoping to get that out by this week, next week, couple of weeks. So we'll have that with us. And then in terms of your second partai, so that cuts across so our kaupapa korero, but really will be when we set our priorities. That's when the team will be able to identify what our priorities are and what conversations we need to be included in. And Hannah's just informed me that our wai kōrero is on our agenda for our art forum this week.
Kia ora.
Yeah, so. Anything else from online? Kyle, I've got nothing online. No one from in the room. So I think that is the last thing on our agenda. And we can move to our karakia whakamutunga unless anyone has anything else. And very quickly, I'd just like to thank all our staff for all their hard mahi. And all of you for attending, and those online for attending. Kia ora tātou. Martin.
Yeah, look, just a little thing from my end. I just want to endorse a comment that came through just before with regards to the involvement of people that were a part of the process of setting up Te Whakaminenga o Kāpiti. Having flicked through the book, you know, obviously some have moved on, but we've actually got people that were very actively involved then, and I think it's important to bring their conversation into the discussion because the intent of when this document was put together, I think is an important part of this conversation as well, but also the recognition, you know, 30 years ago, this was put in place by the people back then, was very, very progressive, shall we say, but I wouldn't want to leave them or them to be left out of this process at all.
Aye, kia ora. And we have been with that's in the back of our thinking when we're talking about all these things. So on that note, Koro Don, would you like to close us off with a karakia?
Have a farewell, but it's got nothing to do with me. It's we know our whanaunga Jack, so but anyway, whānau, I don't know whether this is our last meeting. One more hour, ka pai wai hona wai rā kōrero. O tēnā. No reira, kia taunga mana ki tanga ki nuni a tātou katoa. Kia tau ki runga ngā tangata tū mai ki te putati o rātou whakaaro, o tēnei o tātou hui. Kia koe rā e ke me whakahere ana tēnei hui. He me taumahara tēnā. Nā te me hoki kei te noho rā koe i roto i te tūru hiko. No reira, he ki ana te ke hua i te mā kihi kia toi te kupu, kia toi te reo, kia toi te kotahitanga o tā mātou kingi tūheitia. Ka pērā hoki nā tēnei o tātou ao. Ana wai hora ma te ātua he ara hi rā, te tarina whita, ka pātai atu ke mātou e te ātua whakatūwhere tia mai ngā kuaha. Kia mātou mo te chiko, te pono, te māramatanga, te mahanatanga, ma mātou koe e whakamui michi, e whakaklori ara tō ingoa tapu, I roto i ngā mahi katoa ake. Amen. Kia ora tātou.